Hey guys, Jacob here. No whiteboard, just going for a walk because I wanted to. But I also wanted to talk about what I think is one of the most overrated writing hacks that exists. Of course, people are usually pretty suspicious of the term hack, particularly with writing hacks, because people tend to think that there's some kind of neat little trick or, some kind of little bit of knowledge that is going to help them break through and get good at writing, when really the reality is that you just need to practice and you just need to work at it. And that's the factor more than anything, almost, that is going to get you there. You also have to, you have to study. Hopefully the wind doesn't mess with this recording too bad. You have to study, you have to care about the art of fiction, and, those are all things that you need to do. It's an ongoing process. You never quite arrive there. You never just do all the right stuff or learn all the right things and then bam, you're a writer. It's true that you're a writer when you are writing. Writing is the thing that makes you a writer. But the reason that I use the word hack to describe this is because I think it works so well. To me, it almost feels like cheating, because every once in a while I'll hit this barrier that I can't seem to overcome, and it's the one thing that I basically need to do in order to get myself writing again consistently. And it's weird to me because I don't often see people talking about it. I mean, it's something that's mentioned. People are like, hey, by the way, if you want to write, then you also need to read. If you want to be a writer, you want to be a reader. But they don't talk about how integral a part of the process of writing reading can be. Reading is quite simply cheating. It is literally, it makes writing so much more simple and straightforward that it is practically cheating. Now, one of the only people that I've heard talk about this, and I've read a lot of books on writing, obviously not all of them. There's probably some stuff out there I haven't read that talks about reading as being as beneficial as I feel like it is to the process of writing. One book that comes to mind is, One book that comes to mind is On Writing by Stephen King, which is actually pretty good. Definitely check it out. But he said that reading, not only did he say that you should read for, I think he said 2 to 3 hours a day is the number that he gave, but that what it does is it makes you less self-conscious about the act of writing and allows you to just do it. And I think to a degree that that's true. Another theory that I have is that when you are reading, there are parts of your brain, neurons, or I don't know how this stuff works, that are being stimulated that are either the same as what you use when you're writing, or they're close to and interact with parts of your brain that you use to write. So look at it this way. If you spend 3 hours reading something that has really good, vivid prose and good pacing, just something that really gets you sucked in and kind of gets you in that mode, that's like priming your brain to write. And I've noticed that when I am reading consistently, for example, some of the best stuff that I've ever written, it's nothing publishable or anything. It's just like I enjoyed writing it and I think it's pretty good, was when I was reading The Dark Tower by Stephen King, which is this really weird, bizarre, vivid novel about this weird kind of wacky world. And I I was writing something kind of similar to that, I suppose. It was more inspired by the Alcatraz series by Brandon Sanderson, but there's definitely some crossover. But anyway, so I was writing that, and there came a point where it's like I wasn't really thinking about the thing that was going to happen next, or how I was going to describe the next thing, even though, by my estimation, the prose and the descriptions were pretty fun and interesting. And a lot of people, some of my friends and family seem to think they were pretty cool as well. And it's not even that like I was copying verbatim stuff that was in The Dark Tower. It's just that like Stephen King has really vivid prose, and my brain's like, okay, like this is cool, and started picking up on that. And so when I was incorporating those details, I wasn't super self-conscious about it. I think a lot of people, when they talk, I've heard people say that you want to be careful about reading while you're writing, because you don't want the things that you're reading to influence your own writing, which I think is pretty silly. I mean, and I've even heard some people say that if that's how you feel, then just read stuff that is so markedly different from what you're writing that you couldn't possibly be subconsciously or whatever, just transposing ideas from what you're, reading onto your work. And I think that's pretty silly too. I think you should just read what you want to read. And you're not going to just directly, like, writers don't do that. Like, people who enjoy coming up with stuff don't just directly transpose things from other stuff. Even if I'm doing another draft of something, or I'm trying to alter something that I already wrote, but it's a little different, sometimes I'll be trying to drag and drop stuff that I've already written over, because I'm like, well, this will kind of fit. But even then I don't like that, because it doesn't fit the specific vision of what's happening in a scene or whatever. It's uncomfortable. You can't directly do that. Nobody wants to do that. I mean, okay, that's probably not actually true. It does sometimes seem like certain writers are just like, copying other writers' homework, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into being able to write consistently. I mean, you need to figure out what time of day you're going to do it, what works best for your own brain. You need to figure out, you need to make sure that you're sleeping regularly, that you're exercising, make sure that you're sharp and focused and awake, and try and, make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Because, I mean, if you're just sitting around all day drinking Mountain Dew, and drinking every night without trying to offset that's not going to make you a super genius writer, I don't think. Not as good as you could be, I would suspect. But the most important, like I said before, the most important part of writing is writing itself. And so, and to me, the thing that seems to help that the best is reading for at least a couple hours at least every day, and getting into that mode where you're excited about reading, and you just kind of, it's kind of like when you're playing a really addictive game and you're just in the zone, and when you're not playing it, you're thinking about it. When you're like that about reading, not even just, perhaps a specific book that you're reading, but just about reading in general. You're on a streak. You finish one book, you pick up another, you're excited to do that. When you're doing that, your brain is primed to write, and to write from your gut, because your subconscious is just creating this stuff, and you can just, curate it a little bit, but like, you're just kind of watching it come out and exist, because you're not self-conscious about it. I mean, that's what being in the zone means. So yeah, because of that, even if you don't do any other of those things that I mentioned, read. I would definitely say to read. Read stuff that is vivid. Read stuff that is exciting to you. Read stuff, read stuff that's kind of outside your comfort zone, obviously, as long as you enjoy reading it. But yeah, Just read. I noticed this before I read On Writing, actually. This was years ago, when I was trying to write some crappy novel about this kid who was like the son of a demon or something, in my early 20s, or maybe even it was earlier than that. But I noticed that even though it was crappy, even though like nothing I was writing was good, it flowed so much better when I was spending hours reading some new book that had come out. I think it might have been one of the Kingkiller Chronicle books, but I was just reading it for hours every day. And so when I sat down to write, it's like I wasn't even thinking about it, like it was just coming out. And I was like, maybe there's something to this. Anyway, even though I'm going to cut some of this out, I've started to kind of ramble a little bit about it. I think that people avoid reading because they have a project they're working on, some goal that they have, and the idea of spending free time, which is actually something that I've been going through lately myself. The idea of spending free time on reading before actually doing some writing is just like, it seems preposterous. You're just like, I have writing I need to do. I have stuff that I need to get done, that I want to do, these goals that I have. But it's kind of like knowing when you need to take a break from your work in order to recoup and to get your energy back and to kind of loosen up, and so you don't kind of hit a wall with your work. It's kind of like that. You just have to know what time to spend on reading and what time to spend on writing. And you can experiment with that and figure it out yourself, but I 100% think it's worth it to prioritize. So anyway, that's kind of what I have to say about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.